Hello, that's LeDomduVin. So today I just wanted to come back on a few old bottles. I took a few pictures yesterday and I took a little video yesterday of those bottles, and I saw some comments on Facebook and on Instagram that some of those bottles may be fake, or basically some of those bottles actually looks too new to be actually real. So I just want to show you today that basically those bottles are not fake at all, and I'm going to show them to you and I'm going to prove them to you. Okay, so if we take for example this Chateau Lafite 1947, Chateau Lafite 1947, I don't know if you can see it well. I'm going to try to close it to the camera. Chateau Lafite 1947. First, there is something that you can see is the capsule is actually short, which is a good thing. If the capsule was actually long, it will be probably a fake, but the capsule is short and it corresponds to the vintage. It's slightly corroded as well. It's slightly old. It's got a good color to it, and the level, you can see that the level is basically like a lower shoulder, which is perfectly normal for this vintage. The label looks really good as well. Sorry, because I'm alone, I'm trying actually to do both, looking into the camera and show you the label, hoping that you can see everything. It was actually shipped and basically sold by a négociant called Cheval in Bordeaux, which is correct as well. The bottle actually shows that it was not manufactured. It was actually probably hand blown or put into a mold, but a very old mold. There is some asperities. There is basically some defaults in the bottle. You can see actually here. I don't know if you see it well. You can see here. This is actually a bubble in the glass. The pont is very, very, very deep. I'm not too sure. I'm going to try to adjust the. Here you go. You can see that the pont is very deep. When I put my finger into it, I can put roughly about like 4.5 centimeter into the bottle. So you can see that it's actually a real one. The bottle pont doesn't present any mark, but you can see here the default actually from the fabrication, and you can see that this is the type of bottle that basically has a default of fabrication here as well. And so the bottle was like put together into here, plus added the pont. You can see the marking. Now you can see some other bubbles. I don't know if you can see that bubbles. This is a bubble into the glass as well. What else? The deposit, the sediment seems to be okay as well. Now we can check the cork. So I'm gonna check the cork for you. So just to show you, I don't know. Here you go. Show you the label, 1947. Everything looks fine. Even the drawing looks fine. The font looks fine. So everything looks fine on this label. So for me, this is a real bottle. This is an old bottle for sure. The level is actually showing for its age. The capsule is showing for its age as well. So there is no problem whatsoever. Now, if we check the cork, we might see actually some of the markings. And the marking seems to be correct as well. I don't see the vintage, unfortunately. I cannot show you the vintage in this one because the vintage is a bit higher. It's probably here within the capsule, and I don't want to cut the capsule. So for me, this bottle is totally real. So for the people actually that were saying yesterday that this might not be real, or this might be too new, you can see that the bottle is actually not too new, and the label is definitely real. There's no problem with that. Sorry, I've got a cold. So this was for the Chateau Lafite 1947. Now we're gonna put the other one. So I'll show you here. We have Lafite 1945. So some people were saying that it was way too new. As you can see, I actually protect it with a plastic film because I want to protect the label, because the label is very fragile, and I don't want any damage to the label anymore. So Beautiful bottle, very old as well. You can see that the bottle is actually slightly flat. I'm not so sure if you can see it on the camera, but the bottle is slightly flat, like a default of the Haut Brion bottle. So it's definitely an old bottle. There's no problem with that. The bottle is actually engraved. I'm going to show you. The bottle is actually engraved with 1945 here on the top. So there's no problem with this. The label is definitely a beautiful label. Damaged, slightly nicked as well, by Cheval and company in Bordeaux as well. No problem with the drawing either. The level is actually quite low as well. You can see it's like a slightly mid-shoulder, upper mid-shoulder, I will say. So there is no problem with that. The capsule is slightly corroded as well. So I'm adjusting the quality. The capsule is corroded as well. There's no problem with that. And can we see it? Okay, no problem with the capsule as well. Good color for the capsule. The capsule is short as well, so like it used to be at this time. Let me readjust the quality of the. There we go. Okay, the capsule is actually short as well. So capsule is fine, level is fine, label is definitely fine. The bottle is actually showing some default from the Haut Brion bottle, some asperities here. You can see some bubbles as well. You can see here that there's default as well. So definitely an old bottle, no problem with that. The pont is actually quite thick as well. Here I can put about like 3.5 centimeters roughly, 3.5, maybe 4, slightly, yeah, about like a good part of my finger is in there. And now we can check if we can see the vintage. I don't know if we see the vintage on this one either. There you go. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it with the camera. I'm going to try to close it to you and show it to you. Let's see if we can see here. Can you see it? I don't know if it's doing really good. But you can see 1945. I will take some picture as well, so in that case you can see. So there's 1945 here, clearly on the cork, and the marking on the cork are actually good as well. As you can see, the capsule is corroded. There is no problem with that. 1945 here. I don't know if you can see it, if we can see it well on the camera. Because I'm alone, it's a bit difficult to do both, but there we go. I just wanted to show you 1945. So for the people that had a problem with this bottle yesterday, saying that it might be too new or it might be fake, there's nothing fake about it. As I was saying, perfect label, showing the time, actually correct for the timing. Good engraving of 1945 here. The cork is showing all of the marking plus 1945 on it. The capsule has a good color plus the good marking, the good font, and it's short as well. And the bottle is presenting actually some default, so no problem with this as well. So far, we realize that this 1945 and the 1947 of before are real for the people actually that had questions. Same thing for this. I'm not going to take it off because, as you can see, when I take off the plastic, the bottom label is actually coming off, so I'm not going to take it off so much. But this is another 1945 from Lafite as well, and same thing. There's a lot of oh, you can see it even better. There's some lines default of the Haut Brion bottles at the time. You have to remember that back in the mid 40s, actually during the war, it was very difficult to find glass, so the glass were actually put together. Sometimes even the color of the glass during the mid 40s could be different because they were melting different type of glass, brown and green and even white sometimes. They were melting them together to be able to actually do those bottles, so there was no problem with this. We're gonna go to the other wine after. Sorry, as I was saying, I got a bit of a cold and it's a bit difficult. I'm in the cellar, it's cold here. And I'm alone actually to do that video, so it's a bit difficult today. Now, we're gonna go into the 1945 Chateau Latour. I got 3 bottles here, beautiful bottle. They are really well preserved. So this one, same thing. You see, I put a plastic because the original label is actually coming off. So that's a good example. You have the original label actually that is showing here, showing some of the marking. There is no the glue, but the bottle has all of the defaults that you need to have in the bottle of this age, with some bubble into the glass, some asperities. There is some default actually here on the line of the bottles. There's a good 75 centiliters, which is here. The pont is actually quite deep as well. Here again, I can put about like 3.5, maybe like a good part of my finger in there, so about like 3.5, maybe 4 centimeters in there. The pont is actually quite deep. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's actually quite deep. Same thing, the capsule is actually very short capsule, which is very good. You can see the cork, you can see about like a half part of the cork, and on top of this you have like good markings and good font for the top of the capsule. You can see that it's quite corroded. There's a slightly protruding cork, meaning that the cork push out a little bit, but nothing major actually in that case. If I try to press on it, there is no there's a resistance, meaning that the cork is actually pretty solid and it's good. It's in good condition. Other markings, we're gonna check the vintage. So the vintage is the vintage should be somewhere around here. I cannot see it well. Let's see if I can clean it a bit. So I don't want to cut the capsule for those bottles, so I'm really going to try to show you. Here we go. There is a this is a 1945 Chateau Latour. I'm going to put the plastic back into it because I don't want to lose it, and I want the label to be on the bottle as well. Here we go. So we put the plastic back, and I'm going to try to show you, if I can, the vintage. So I don't know if you can see it well. Can we see it? It's difficult for me actually to, but there is a 1945. There is good markings here. I'm going to try to close it up from the phone. Try to see if we can focus on this. 1945. I don't know. Can you see it? Maybe not. Let's try to clean it a bit. 1945. So there is good markings on the cork. The vintage is there, definitely. 1945. It's clear. I took some picture that I will show you as well after. All right, so here again, same thing for the people actually that thought that this 1945 Latour was actually a fake. There's nothing fake about it. The capsule is good, the cork is good. Let me readjust the quality. There we go. So as I was saying, the cork is good, the capsule is good, the label is good, the default on the bottle are actually perfectly fine for this age. So once again, there is nothing fake about it. Those are actually perfectly good bottles. So here we go. We did the Lafite, we did the Latour. Here, the 1959 Chateau Brion. Those are very interesting bottles because, as you can see, the level is quite low. So here we are the top shoulder, top to mid. Above mid shoulder, and here we are the top shoulder. So definitely good for the age. No problem with that either. The label are fantastic. Very old label. I really love those labels. I'm going to try to adjust the quality. Here you go. Very old label of 1959. You can see the vintage here. The label are showing actually definitely some age. It was sold by a négociant or shipped by a négociant called Lalande and Company at Bordeaux. There is an engraving, the good engraving actually for the bottle. The bottle is presenting some default as well. Looks quite old. You still have the 75 centiliters here, as usual. And the pont is actually quite deep as well. So no problem about the pont, no problem about the bottle as well. Hop, we're going to try to adjust the quality. We're going to go back over there. Here you go. So no problem whatsoever. Very good bottle of Chateau Brion. True bottle of Chateau Brion. And as I was saying, for the people actually that doubt that those bottles were actually real, this is totally real, and the label is actually real, and the label doesn't look too new. Some people were saying those labels are too new actually for the vintage. And I'm telling you and I'm showing you that basically those labels are not too new for the vintage. I'm going to show you as well. I'm going to try to adjust the quality on this. Up, here we go. You can see that the capsule is like really well corroded. Some calcareous deposits here, kind of a white, good color for the capsule as well. And good engraving, good label, good ponds. So no problem whatsoever with those Haut Brion either. Okay, let's go back over there. So Haut Brion 1959, no problem. Latour 1945, no problem. Lafite 1945 and 1947, no problem whatsoever. That's what you should actually look. I'm trying to show you what I do when I do a bottle inspection, a bottle authentication. I'm trying to show you basically the different basic detail that you can check. You can also actually take a magnifier. I don't have a magnifier with me today, but you can take a magnifier. You can actually take a light. You can inspect some of the details. You can go through all of those little details to see if everything is fine. But I did the inspection for those bottles long ago, so I know those bottles very well, and there's no problem whatsoever for those bottles. Now we have a 1949 Cheval Blanc. So some people were saying that the bottle where the label looked too new. I can show you that basically the label is actually pretty old. You can see that the label is old, it's slightly nicked, it's slightly damaged, it's got some trace of age. It's definitely slightly faded as well. Beautiful bottle. You still have the Négociant label as well, which was Cruise at the time, Cruise and Fils in Bordeaux as well. The bottle is showing the 75 liters as like all of the other bottles. It's a bottle that we bought actually from we bought this from a.k.a. quite some time ago, but you can think that a.k.a. sometimes some of the bottle may be a bit suspicious, but overall we check all of the bottle. I do all of the inspection, I'll do all of the authentication before we buy anything from them, and I can tell you that this one is real. The pont is actually the pont is very deep. I don't know if you can see it well. The pont is actually very deep. I can put a good 4 centimeters into the pont. Very old as well. You can see the blowing. You can see some of the default actually on the bottle. So no problem with this whatsoever. The label is old. The bottle is old, and it looks perfectly okay for its age. The capsule is actually old as well. The capsule is very well corroded too. You see the corrosion on the capsule. So no problem for the corrosion on the capsule, and I'm gonna try to show you. The vintage if I can. It's difficult actually to show you the vintage on camera, but I'm gonna try if I can. Well, I cannot see the vintage on this one. It's somewhere hidden. Yeah, it's a bit difficult. It's somewhere here, but it's a bit difficult to see it. It's going to be a bit difficult for me to show you on the camera. But anyway, by doing this, I'm checking the cork as well. And the cork is perfectly fine as well. It showed a trace of age. It saw a slight damage, but nothing major. Overall, it's perfectly preserved corked. The capsule shows all of the corrosion that it should have actually for its age. And there is no problem whatsoever with this one as well. So in this case as well, this Cheval Blanc is definitely fine and it's no problem. And this is not a fake bottle. The other one as well, same thing. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to show you, the other one are perfectly fine as well. So I've got 4 bottles of 1949 here. So to recap, for the people actually that may not have seen what I did before, Lafite 1947, no problem. 1945, no problem. Latour 1945, no problem. Haut Brion 1959, no problem. Cheval Blanc 1949, no problem whatsoever. Here, some people actually may say that those are actually fake, but they're not fake. They look very new. We have a Chateau d'Yquem. Chateau d'Yquem, let me actually adjust the quality. Up, here we go. So we have Chateau d'Yquem 1958, 1959, and those label looks really new simply because the bottle here were reconditioned back into the late 90s and the early 2000s. Just to put it back up, I have to, sorry, because I'm alone, I have to readjust the quality of the camera all the time. But anyway, 1958 Yquem, 1959 Yquem. You can see there is a difference in the punt, which is very interesting. This one is a very thick punt. This one is actually a less thick punt, and both of these bottles are perfectly fine. They are totally real. The label looks very new simply because, as I said, they have been reconditioned at the chateau. I have the certificate. I cannot show you the certificate here now because I don't have it with me, but they have been reconditioned at the chateau back in late 1995, I think, and the other one is 2002. So that's why they look so new. The capsule has been redone as well. You can see the vintage on the capsule as well. So for 1958, let me show you. Up, 1958, and for 1959, 1959. So no problem whatsoever on those two. And I cannot see it. Well, this one was even later actually. That's why it looks even newer. The cork looks very new. I don't know if we can see it. I'm gonna try to show you on the camera. Let me try to adjust. I don't know if you can see it, like just right here. Just right here, it says 2009. It was reconditioned in 2009. That specific bottle was reconditioned in 2009. Now, let me see if we can see this one. I cannot seem to see actually where this one. It's higher in the cork, so no, I can see it. There is a little there's a little number here. It looks like 1995. I don't know if we can see it. Can we see it? It looks like 1995. Just right there, you have a 5. I don't know if you can see it. Well, you have a 5 just right there. Anyway, so. So for the people that were saying that those bottles looks fake, looks too new actually for the vintage, I totally agree with you, and it's perfectly normal because they have been reconditioned at the chateau. So for this Chateau d'Yquem 1958, 1959, no problem either. So far, for all of this old bottle that I seen yesterday, that I showed you yesterday, that I took that little video, and to answer the comments of some of the people, there is no problem whatsoever with those bottles. They are perfectly fine, and they are not new. They are just actually some of this have been reconditioned. The other one are perfectly actually fine for the vintage. Let me try to grab something else for you. There you go. I'm going to show you something. I just took a bottle of 1906 Chateau d'Yquem. We have a massive collection. We probably have one of the biggest collection of Chateau d'Yquem going back to 1825 up to present, and we have roughly about 1 to 2 bottles of each vintage that has been produced between 1825 and present, and for all of the younger vintage from like 95, 96 to up to now, we have cases and cases. But for those very old vintage, we only have 1 or 2 bottles. So this one is a bottle that has not been reconditioned, and just to show you that it has not been reconditioned except the label. The label has been actually reconditioned and it's been put back at the chateau. But on the cork, you can still see the vintage 1906, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show that to you. You can see the difference of color. It's always amazing to see the difference of color for Chateau d'Yquem. So you have a, we're going to put them in order. You have a 1958, 1959, and this is 1906. So if I put them in the right order of the age, you can see that the 1906 is very, very dark. Let's try to put the light just to show you. So I was talking about the font of the bottle, just to show you as well. The font of the bottle here is actually quite thick compared to this one, which is very thin. So it just depends on, and this is a very old one. You can see actually the default on the font, and I don't know if we can see them from that far. I don't know if you can see them. I should probably try to grab the phone and put it closer, but it's very interesting to see the color, how dark is the color. It's almost like red on the 1906 with a light like this in the back. It's almost like red. It's impressive. Let me grab the phone and try to put it closer to you, for you to understand what I'm trying to say. Here we go. So it's almost like red with that. It's impressive. You can see the color, which is like a dark brownish orange, and let's move it up. Oops. That's where we're gonna put it a bit there. Yeah. It's really impressive. So let's do a close-up on the other label for you to see that they are not they are not fake. Beautiful bottle. You can see the corrosion. You can see that the level are low as well. It's beautiful. But anyway, just to show you the vintage on this one. Let me do a close-up on the vintage. The vintage is still on the cork, so you can see very old capsule, and you can see the vintage. You can see it very clearly, 1906 on the cork, top of the capsule. Let me try to zoom in. Yeah, top of the capsule, beautiful. Voila. So that was just another video from LeDomduVin to show you how I do the inspection, how I do the authentication of some of those bottles. I look into it. I stress it all the time, but I never stress it enough. You have to know the history of the change of the label, the capsule, the cork, if the bottle has been reconditioned, if there is a certificate of provenance, if there is a certificate of reconditionment at the chateau. You have to check all of those kind of things, and you have to know the history of change of the labels and the capsule and the cork, simply because if you don't know that, you might actually think that some of those bottles may be fake, but they are not fake. They just actually been through a different type of history. Anyway, I'm going to leave you on that beautiful random selection of different old Bordeaux bottle with the Lafite 45 on the left, then Latour 45, then Haut Brion. I'm going to do a close-up. So Lafite 45, Latour 45, Haut Brion 1959, we have Cheval Blanc 1949. Take the light off, and here we have Chateau d'Yquem 1906, Chateau d'Yquem 1958, Chateau d'Yquem 1959, and that's about it for today. That was just to answer to the comments of that I saw yesterday on the previous video. Some people actually were saying that basically some of those bottles were fake, and I just wanted to respond and to show you that basically they are not fake. Oops, I'm moving the camera. It's difficult to be alone, actually, to do a video alone. It's a bit difficult sometimes. Anyway, that was LeDomduVin, and today is the 24th of December, and so tonight is Christmas Eve and tomorrow is Christmas Day. So I wish you happy Christmas to all of you, to your friends, your family, and be good. Drink responsibly, and you can drink a bit much because it's a good occasion for it, but drink responsibly still. Merry Christmas, and New Year is actually about to come soon, so I wish you all of the best for this new year to come, and hope everything's going to be okay, and I hope you will see and you will watch more video from me, from LeDomduVin. I'm going to do more. I just started actually to make those videos because I found them a bit more interactive, and I think that it's actually good to have an interaction with you as the watcher, as the public, I will say. And I'm going to try to make as educational as much as I can all of those videos. I'm going to try to, every time I'm going to make a video, I'm going to try to teach you something. I'm going to try to show you something that you may know or that you may not know or that you will probably discover in this video. So I hope you enjoy actually to see those old bottles, and wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy end of the year. And see you in a few days. Okay, that was LeDomduVin. Bye bye. Thank you.